So, excellent. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? So, Bruchim Habaim B'Shem Adonai, welcome in the name of the one, and Shana Tova. Can everybody say it with me? Shana Tova? Shana Tova? I see your lips moving, great. So let's do a responsive reading. It starts on the next slide. So the part that's bold, if you could read that, okay? So today is Rosh Hashana, the first day of the Jewish New Year. And then you're gonna say it with me, today we have a chance to start again. Today we can think about the last year and all the things that have happened. We grew taller and stronger, we learned new skills, we made new friends, we celebrated birthdays and holidays, although I know some of them probably weren't in the exact way we wanted to because of COVID. Next slide, please. Today, we can thank God for all the wonderful things that happened since last Rosh Hashana. So say with me, today we can decide to make next year even better. There are things we can do to make ourselves and the next year better than the last. So say with me, all together, we can pray, that's tefillah. We can make amends for our mistakes, that's tshuva. And we can share and help others, tzedakah. So today we're going to talk about thank you, sorry about that. We're talking about three different things. We're talking a little bit about tefillah, and we're going to talk a little bit about tshuva, and we're going to talk about tzedakah. Do you know what those mean? Have you heard those before? Well, we'll go through each one. Okay. So the next slide. How many of you like to go camping or sleep in a tent? I'm trying to see if I can see all of you. Oh, good. It looks like, yeah. So this song is about how beautiful, how wonderful it is to dwell together, to be in the tents of Adonai, to be in the tents of Israel. So, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Can you guess which word might be tent? So, Ma tovu, how good is it? Ohalecha, in your tents, Yaakov. How wonderful are the places where the people Israel make contact with God. So on the next slide, I think I have some questions. Hopefully we'll have a little discussion. So who are you here with today? Can anybody unmute and say, are you with your parents, your siblings, your grandparents? Who are you with? Anybody?
I'm with my daughter.
Nice, welcome.
And Will and I are here together. I'm his mom.
Wonderful, welcome. Who are you thinking about that's not here, but maybe you wish that they were here with you? Maybe you have a grandparent that is in a different town, or an older sibling that's off at school and couldn't be here. Is there somebody you're thinking about? Boy, I wish they were here, because just by saying their name, it's almost as though we're bringing them here with us. Is there anyone like that? If you have your hand raised and I don't see you, I'm sorry. I can't really see everybody on the side here. So I think this picture is really beautiful. It's like an impressionistic interpretation of the tents of Israel. And so where do you make contact with God, or where do you feel God? For some people, it's in nature. For some people, we just got a new puppy about 2 weeks ago. And my wife warned me it was going to be a lot of work, and she was very right. But sometimes I look at the little puppy, it just makes me feel, I can feel the energy, you know, the creative energy in him, and it's so wonderful. But can you think for a second, like where do you make contact with God? For most of us, it's not in services. For some people, it is. Anybody share with me like where you feel? I know for older people, for parents, often it's when you see your children. How about you? Okay, we'll keep going. So
Rabbi, I feel God when I'm at the beach.
wonderful. What is it about the beach that
I think you can see so much of the sky and hear the waves and the wind, and it just makes me feel very connected to the world and to God.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel that way too. Anybody feel that way in the mountains? Do you have you have mountains in New England, don't you? Are they too far? Are they far from Boston, the mountains? Maybe go skiing or sledding, tobogganing. Yeah, it's really nice because you can feel close to God anywhere you want to. Can you go to the next slide? So remember, we're going to go through a section called tefillah, that's prayer. We're going to go through a section called tshuva, or turning around, repenting, making amends. And then we're going to go through a section called tzedakah, helping other people. So tefillah, or prayer, is the way we talk to God and to ourselves. I think it's really interesting. But does anybody know the Hebrew word for prayer, to pray? Anybody know it? It's lahitpa'el, right? It's a reflexive verb. So you pray, when you're praying to yourself, of course, and to the divinity inside of you. I think it's really beautiful. But we pray when we are happy, amazed, grateful, thankful, or pleased. We have prayers we say when something special happens. Maybe we see a rainbow or trees, or when we celebrate a holiday like today and next week, Rosh Hashana. So look at this picture here. I found this picture in an Israeli newspaper. I find it was really a beautiful picture. So what do you notice? So the first thing I'll tell you, this is an Israeli ambulance, and it doesn't have a red cross on it. What does it have? It has something red on it, but what is it? It's not a cross. What is it? Anybody see it on the side of the ambulance? It looks more like we would call it a van maybe, but that's what their ambulances look like. What do you see on the side? Spencer, are you able to, am I able to draw it so that people can see it, or circle it? What is that?
Star of David.
Yeah, Star of David. So it's in the afternoon, and this article was about these two men. They work together. They're a team. They're both paramedics. And if you look at the man closest to the van, do you see he has a talit on? And he's doing the afternoon prayers. And then what about the man who's kneeling? What do you think about him? Is there anything you might be able to figure out about him? So this, just like we have 3 prayer services a day in Judaism, in the Muslim religion, they have the same thing. I just think this is beautiful that these two men work together, and they're friends, and they're paramedics in Israel. And in the afternoon, they stop and they do their prayers together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a couple prayers together on the next slide. So thankfulness. So before we start our prayers, let's stop for a second and just think about all the things that we can be thankful for. So what are you happy about today? What are you thankful about today? Anybody want to share something that they're thankful about? Were you able to stay home from school today?
Yes. No.
Ah, was that fun?
I mean, no. Eden got to.
Ah, okay.
I went to school, but I got out early.
Nice. You went to the fair yesterday or today or over the weekend? Was that fun?
Yeah, but the bad part is about his car.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
But maybe I think it's under warranty, right? So it would be thankful that it's under warranty at least. That's great. Yeah. Okay, well, let's, oh yes, please, Susan.
I'm thankful for the beautiful weather that we're having today. It's just gorgeous.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's also beautiful here. I don't know how many hundreds of miles I am away from you, but it's also beautiful here. So
Where are you?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, so nice. Great. Okay, so are we ready to go through a couple of our prayers? We'll talk about them on the next slide. So there are questions that, we can ask God and ourselves. They're very similar. It might seem kind of funny to ask questions to God, but God, are you really there? Are you awake? Are you prepared? I'm getting ready. Can you hear my voice? I want you to understand I'm going to be asking for some things. And the next slide is, if we're going to ask questions to God, we have to ask ourselves, am I awake, both physically and spiritually? Am I prepared? So are you ready? Are you ready? Should we go? Okay, let's go. So our first prayer, it's called Yotzer Or. God creates light in the world. When we look around and we see the world God has created for us, we feel thankful, just like we heard about the beautiful weather today. So thank you, God, for giving us sight and light to see the beautiful world. So say it with me. If you can read the Hebrew, great. If not, read it in transliteration. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer hamerorot. So the word or means light. There's a lot of different kinds of light in our lives, right? So there's obviously the light of the sun, the light of the moon, the light of the stars. Is there any other light in your life that you could think of? Even maybe metaphorically, like maybe your mom is your light, or your brother or your sister is your light. Is there something that brings light into your life? Maybe it's your love for music, or your love for nature, or a pet. Is there anything that you can say, wow, thank you, God, for bringing this light into my life? Those are the questions, though, I think it's good to ask ourselves. And if someone has their hand raised and I don't see it, I apologize. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, Ahava Rabbah. So God loves us so much that God gave us a wonderful gift, the Torah. And one way we can show our love is by doing what the Torah tells us to do. We can read it together. The Torah teaches us that we are to love each other and to take care of the world God has given us. So Baruch atah Adonai habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava. So this is like, blessed are you, Adonai, who loves the people of Israel. So if you look at above the Torah, it says Ahava Rabbah. Which word do you think means love? Anybody know? Anybody tell me which word means love? Do you think if you think it's Ahava, put up your thumb. If you think it's Rabbah, put up both thumbs. Is it Ahava or is it Rabbah? Ahava. I see two, three. Okay. Oh yeah. Look at good. Ahava. And it's not just any love, right? It's a great love. Rabbah means a great love. Okay. Next slide, please. So the Shema and the Ve'ahavta, listen and love. God shows us love by giving us family and friends. And we're a part of a very large and big family, the Jewish people. But we're also part of an even bigger family. Since God is our parent, we are all part of the family of all mankind. So if you stop and think about that, just amazing, right? So obviously you're related to your family that you're living with, right? With your mom and your dad and your brothers and your sisters and your grandma and your grandpas and your aunts and uncles and your cousins. But you're also related to all the other Jewish people because we all have the same great, right? Grandfather and grandmother, Abraham and Sarah. And we're also related to every other person on the planet because we're all one big family. I think that's really beautiful to think about as we're going to do the next prayer on the next slide. The Shema. So some people, when they do the Shema, they cover their eyes. Have you ever seen anybody put up like 3 fingers like this? Do you know what letter that this is supposed to symbolize? What letter has 3 like feet on it, kind of? Does like look like any Hebrew letter to you, if you had to guess? Is it the shin? Do you see? Can you kind of see a shin here? So, anybody know what this is from Spock on Star Trek? It's also a shin, right? It's a shin. So you don't have to, but some people they'll take their 3 fingers on the one hand, they'll cover their eyes like this, and the other 3 fingers like this, and they're making a shin. And the shin stands for Shaddai, one of the names of God. And they'll say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, O Israel, Adonai is our God. Adonai alone. So we have to do a lot of listening on the high holidays. We're going to be listening to the shofar, and the shofar has lessons for us. It tells us to wake up. It tells us to work on ourselves, and it tells us to help our fellow humans because we're all part of the same family. Okay, the next slide, please. So the ve'ahavta, how should we love our God? We should love Adonai, our God, with all of our heart, with all of our souls, and with all of our might. What does that mean? How do we show God that we love God? Are there things we can do? There's a hint. There's a hint on the. There's a hint on the. I'm sorry?
We show God love by being kind to other people and praying.
Excellent. Yeah, by praying, by being kind to other people. Those are wonderful ways, right? That we can show that we love God when we love other people. We're showing that. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. That's why I like his hat. Love your neighbor. Okay. Next slide, please. So what does it mean to love God with all your soul, heart, and might? Can you think of other people we are to love? How do we show our love? And what does it mean to love your neighbor? Those are all really great questions. Let's focus on that last one. Like, what does it mean to love your neighbor? Is it hard to love your neighbor? Maybe sometimes. Can anybody give me an example? Maybe a time when you've either loved your neighbor or someone's loved you, or you've seen a story about it, or you've read about it in the paper or in the book. Maybe share with me a time when something like that's happened. It doesn't have to be anything big and dramatic. Like I read a story recently about someone who gave their neighbor their kidney. That's pretty dramatic, right? To give someone your kidney, like, wow, wow. But there might be other things you could do. Maybe sometimes if you see someone who's lonely or an elderly person, just saying hello to them and smiling at them. Have you ever just been out walking and you see somebody and maybe they seem a little sad and you smile and say hello to them? It could be something that simple, but that can make a big difference, right, in somebody's life. Okay, great. Let's go to the next.
Shovel snow for them.
Yeah, who said that? That's awesome.
Me.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. So when you shoveled snow for them, what did they say?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful, right? That probably made you feel good too, right? It helped them and helped you. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So the Avinu Malkeinu prayer is a part of God's worldwide family. We're able to ask God to help us make the world a better place, right? The Avinu Malkeinu prayer is a prayer we say during the high holidays, asking God to help us make the world a better place. Notice, we're not asking God to make the world a better place. We're asking God to help us to make the world a better place. So whose job is it to make the world a better place? It's ours, right? It's ours. So let's read together. Read with me. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voices. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and disease. Avinu Malkeinu, may this new year be a good one. Avinu Malkeinu, fill our hands with blessings and help us to love ourselves, our family, and the world. So it's interesting, right? Because sometimes we always think it's somebody else's job. I mean, I do the same thing, right? Somebody else's job to make the world a better place. Come on, God, why is that happening? And in reality, most of our prayers, like I said, they're reflexive, right? They come back to us. We asking God to help us make the world a better place. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So what are your wishes for this new year? Let's stop just for a second. Like, what are you wishing for this year? Anything? Can you share with me?
To get another dog.
Nice. What kind of dog do you have now?
I put Australian cattle dog and put Tilia.
Wow, that sounds really awesome. Is it a puppy?
No.
Actually, this is my I've had them for like 2 weeks now, so I'm still not fully trained. Yeah, so that's wonderful. Excellent. Anyone else? What are your wishes for the new year? Yes, please. I think Shoshana, I think I saw Shoshana's hand. Maybe I didn't. Anyone else want to share with us their wishes for the new year? Maybe there's a skill you want to learn. Okay. Well, think about that for today and for the days of the next 10 days, that the beauty of it is that they're not just wishes, right? You can actually make them happen. And that's what this is all about, is making yourself and the world a better place. Let's go on to the next slide. So we're going to blow the shofar 4 times. And if you have a shofar, go get it. If you have any noisemaker, go get it. But each time, there's a certain lesson that goes along with that particular time we're blowing the shofar. So the shofar makes a really loud noise. Why? Because the shofar is telling us the first time we play it, the message is, wake up, listen, are you awake? So if you've ever been in Israel during the month before Rosh Hashana, every day, like in Jerusalem or in more religious places, you can hear all the people blowing the shofar. It's a little scary if you don't know what's going to happen, right? Because, it sounds kind of funny. So it says to listen to that still small voice that tells you what is right. Do something nice for someone. Say you are sorry if you hurt someone. You will feel better if you make amends. Amends is like make things right. So today we're going to blow and listen to the shofar 4 times, but each time the shofar has a different lesson. It's not enough just to hear the shofar. We must know its meaning and its message. So let's go to the next slide. So let's recite the blessing for listening to the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. To the voice, the kol, the voice of the shofar, So the first time we blow it, the message is wake up. Wake up to what? Wake up and to love and to listen. So the next slide. So these are the things you can hear people say, like tekiah, shavarim, trua, tekiah. So the first one, tekiah, is just one long blast. So let's do it together. And you're going to watch me, or let's listen to me learn how to play my big new shofar. Just one long blast, tekiah. Good. And shevarim, actually the word shevarim means broken. Like if you drop a glass and it breaks on the floor, it's shiber. So shevarim is broken in the plural. So it's going to be 3 broken blasts. So it'll sound like da, da, da. Do it with me, okay? Shevarim. And then the last one is trua tekiah. It's 9 blasts. Sometimes if you're not careful, you might get 8 or 10, but it's supposed to be 9. Think of them like if you play in a musical instrument, like a triplet. Da 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 da. And then so you go da 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 da. That would be it, okay? Trua tekiah. All right, that was the first sounding of the shofar, and the message was, what was the message? Wake up, listen, and love. Okay, the next slide. So we were going to talk about tefillah. Now we're going to talk about tshuva. Tshuva means saying, I'm sorry. It means making up for our mistakes. It means doing your best not to repeat our mistakes. Each of us, we have these 2 books in our lives. And in one book, we write down metaphorically. No one's really writing them down, but we're making a list of every time we were kind and patient, loving, or we helped someone. There are lots of times we all do those things. But there's also times when we're mean or selfish or do something unkind. And even when you're not even when, but it's not just children, but adults. We do the same thing, right? Sometimes we're very nice and sometimes we're not so nice. But tshuva means to say that you're sorry and to make up for mistakes and try not to do them in the future. Do you see the sign here where it shows turning around? Tshuva, it actually means to turn around. So you're going and walking in one direction and you stop and you turn around and start walking in the other direction. That's tshuva. The next slide, please. So on Rosh Hashana, we stop and ask ourselves, how can we do better next year? How can we make amends or fix some of the mean things that we did? We engage in tshuva, turning around, right? Going in the other direction by saying we're sorry, by making up to the person we hurt, and by doing our best not to do that mean thing again. Oh, it looks like someone raised their hand, I see. Oh yeah, Shoshana. I'm sorry. Thank you for putting that in the text.
What was it again?
What was what again?
What was the thing that I want to answer? The question. Yeah, what was the question?
Was it a while ago?
It was just the last one.
Oh, okay, could you go back one, Spencer? I'm sorry, I can't remember myself. Let's see. Oh, can you think of a time when you've done something very patient, loving, kind, where you help someone?
Like give a lot of something to other people.
Yeah, what do you give to other people? Like kindness?
Candy.
Okay, well, sure. Sharing is a wonderful thing. Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to the slide. And so by saying we're sorry, by making up to the other person we hurt, and by doing our best not to do this, to do that mean thing again. And it's for everybody, right? Not just for children. The next slide, please. So let's think about last year. On Rosh Hashana, we take some time to think back over the last year, and we feel, first of all, happy and proud of all the good things we've done. So Shoshana just told us about some of the good things that she did last year, right? She shared, which is always a wonderful thing. But we also want to take some time to think about how we can do even better and fix some of the mean things we have done. So what are some things you can do better next year? Is there anybody that think of something like next year, what can I do better? It doesn't have to always be, say with people, it could be for yourself. For example, I'm a little, you can't tell on Zoom here, but I'm a little pudgy and I'm a little, okay, I'll just say the word, a little fat. And I want to eat better. I want to eat more healthy and not just run upstairs and, eat something that's not healthy. So that's one way I want to be better. And I also want to be more patient. I sometimes cannot be patient. So those are two things I want to do better this year. Is there anything you could think of that you want to do better this year? Oh, Shoshana, I see your hand.
I feel like I should really try to do better in
At where?
school.
Excellent. Doing better at school is a wonderful thing. Excellent. Anyone else? Let's see here. Well, I'll just think about this. All of us, we can always do better, and just think about those things that you want to do better, because during Rosh Hashana, we want to make up for the mistakes we have made. And we say, on the next slide, please. So during Rosh Hashana, we want to make up for the mistakes we've made, and we say, please help us say we are sorry. Please help us improve our behavior. And please forgive us when we say we are sorry. And please help us forgive other people when they tell us they are sorry. So tshuva has two sides. One side says, okay, I have to ask people for forgiveness or tell them that I'm sorry. And the other side is, what sometimes it's even harder, is when someone tells us they're sorry, then we need to forgive them. And so that's hard. So it's both sides of the coin, right? Excellent. Say tshuva. I like the sign of the turning and going in the other direction. The next slide, please. So the second blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashana. Remember, the first blowing was, what was it? It was like, wake up, listen, and love. And the second blowing, we promise to improve. we promise to make up for our mistakes, and we promise to forgive others. So get your shofar out. We're going to make those same sounds again, maybe a little faster and a little, not so much talking in between, since we practiced it once already. And remember, this time it's like, when you hear the sounds, think about promise to improve, promise to make up for our mistakes, and promise to forgive others. So we're going to start off with tekiah. Remember, it's a one long blast and then a high note at the end, like yeah, something like that. And then 3 broken blasts, shavarim, da, da, da. And then the last one is Tua Tekiah. It's going to be the 9 blasts. Da, 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 da. That was the second blowing of the shofar. All right. Excellent. Let's keep going. So we talked about tefillah, right, which was praying. We talked about tshuva, which is repentance, turning around, making amends. And the last part of the Rosh Hashana liturgy, or what we should be thinking about, now that we are awake, now that we have done our prayers, now that we've made amends to people, we can do tzedakah, sharing and helping. So my guess is, in the religious school, do you have a tzedakah project that you do every year, or do you bring tzedakah to school? And can someone share with me, what do you do? Is there like a project that you do every year, or how does it work? No? So the school where I teach in Columbus here, the last several years, we've done this shoes that fit. There are a lot of refugees coming to Columbus from war-torn areas, and the children come, and most of them have never even had shoes. And all they have are just maybe hand-me-down shoes. So Shoes That Fit is a charity here, and we collect tzedakah so that we can give it to Shoes That Fit, and they can actually get the students their first pair, often their very first pair. Could you imagine their first pair of shoes and socks that fit? It's called Shoes That Fit. But it's not always giving just money. You can give tzedakah other ways too, by sharing and helping. Giving tzedakah means sharing what you have with someone who needs it. We can share our food, our clothes, our toys, and our money. We can also share our time and our friendship. We can love our parents and our family. We can be friendly to others. We can help and comfort others even when they are sad or sick. And we can study the Torah, because the Torah teaches us how to do all of these things. So can anybody give me an example of tzedakah, maybe that you've read about or from your own life?
Well, one of the, I know Eden won't mention this, but I know for her bar mitzvah project, she collected stuff for the Humane Society.
Yeah, she did.
It's wonderful. That's a great example. Yeah. You can see the sign here that some children are selling lemonade for hurricane relief. There's a lot of ways to do it, right? And everything matters. Even something that you seem as little isn't little. It could really make a difference in a person's life. Sometimes people have said just they're very down and they go somewhere and the person smiles at them or opens the door for them. It can be something very little, and it makes a big difference, sharing and helping. But that's a part of the high holidays, right? It's not just praying, it's not just repenting, it's also tzedakah, sharing and helping. Next slide, please. So the reading of the Torah. Today is the birthday of the world, right? So we'll read the story of how the world was born and see if there are any lessons for us. So ki mitzion tetzeh Torah u'divrei Adonai meYerushalayim. So the Torah will come from Zion and God's word from Jerusalem. And then we do the Shema. Do you remember? If you want to, you can take make the shin when we say the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The Torah is sweet as honey on our tongue. Let us soak in it up. Let us sink in it. Sweet words of Torah. So how many of you, anyone having their bar mitzvah this year coming up? Wow, yeah. I see one person. Anybody? So when is your, I'm sorry, I can't, is it someone in Elizabeth's house? Is it, well, when is your celebration?
When is it?
End of June.
End of June.
Oh, wow. Okay, excellent. Do you know your Parsha?
No.
The part you're reading from?
Not yet.
Okay, good, excellent. Well, great. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. We're going to focus just because reading the Torah is so important. There's a blessing we say before we do it, and then one after. Most times, if you think about most blessings, right? We do a blessing, and then we light the candles, right? We do a blessing, and then we eat some bread. We do a blessing, then we drink some wine. But this is one of the few examples. There's a couple other ones. One of the few where our tradition's telling us this is really important. So we're going to do a blessing before we do it and after we do it. So this is the blessing before the reading of the Torah. Let's say it together. Baruch et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. If you go to the next slide. So, do you see down here where it says, God said, I will make people in my image? That's what I want to talk about. So in the creation story, right? God separates light from darkness. God makes the land separate from the waters. And then he begins to create all these different things. And on the sixth day, God says, I will make people in my image. And these people will take care of the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and animals in the field. And God created people and said, here is the world for you to live in. There are plants to eat and animals to care for. And every other day, when God finished the creation, said it was good. It's tov. But when he created man or people, he said it's tov me'od. It's very good. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk about, we got to do the blessing afterwards. Right after I said that, we do the blessing afterwards, then we'll talk about what it means to be made in the image of God. So Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. So that's the blessing after the reading of the Torah. And then the next slide, I believe, yes. So what does it mean to you? This is a really difficult question. People have written books and books and books and books about this. But what does it mean to be made in the image of God? What do you think that means? I'll give you a little hint. There's a really beautiful Hasidic story. And someone comes into a synagogue and I think they were Greek Orthodox or Russian Orthodox, a Christian religion. And they said, your synagogue is very beautiful, but you don't have any images or pictures of God like we have in my church. We have statues and these beautiful things all around that are very beautiful and people like them. But so why don't you have any statues or images of God? And the rabbi said, oh yes, I've been to your church and you do have very beautiful statues and things, but we do have images of God. He said, well, where are they? He said, look to the person to your left and look to the person to your right. There, those are the images of God that we focus on. So it's not like it's right or wrong, but just different. But can you share with me, what do you think it means to be made in the image of God? It's not easy. Question. Or when do you think, we've kind of hinted on it before, when do you think that we are acting like God, to be made in the image of God? Anybody? Yes, please.
Well, how about when we're helping other people?
Yeah. That's it's an excellent answer. So I think Rabbi Spar told me that all the bar mitzvah students have to learn the prayer that these are the duties whose worth cannot be measured. Have any of you learned that? It's like, these are the duties whose worth cannot be measured. And it goes through all the things of how you help other people, just like you said, right? To visit the sick, to celebrate with the bride and the groom, to if unfortunately someone passes away, to help them, to help them when they're grieving and mourning. These are all the ways, all of the mitzvot that we do that mean that we're made in the image of God. So that's, yeah, excellent. Okay, so we blew the shofar the first time to remind us what? Wake up, listen, and love, right? And we blew the shofar the second time to say, okay, how can I improve myself? How can I make the world a better place? Now it's the time to blow the shofar for the third time. So get your shofar. We'll blow it to remind us of tzedakah, to remind us to give, to share, and to help others. Okay, are we ready? Do you have your shofar? I got the wrong end. That's not going to work. Here we go. So we're going to do, remember, tekiah is the one long blast. And then shavarim is the 3 broken blasts. And then the last one, trua tekiah, is the 9 staccato, one after the other. Da, 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 da. Okay, excellent. I hope you had fun doing that. We have one more we get to do. Let's go to the next slide. So we usually, as the service comes to a conclusion, we talk about peace. So la sim in Hebrew means to do or to make shalom, peace, which really, I don't think the English translation really helps us a lot, helps us a little, but it's actually to make things whole, to make things complete. And that means to make peace. So I want each of us to think, how can we make peace in our lives? It could be with our siblings, with our family, with our neighbor. Is there anything that you can think of that we could do the next week or so that would sim shalom? It's not give us peace. That would be notain, right? It's not God give us peace. It's let us make peace. It's our responsibility to do that. Can you think of anything to make peace? To make yourself whole or complete with someone? Give you a second while I look at my. Yeah, so it says sim shalom tova vracha, and chen vechesed v'rachamim. So chen is like kindness, mercy, justice. That's how we make peace, right? By being kind, by being just and fair when we deal with people, and by granting somebody mercy. What does it mean to grant somebody mercy? That's kind of a very old expression. What does it mean if you grant somebody mercy? Anybody help me with that? Yeah, I think I see a hand raised. Do I? Is that Will? Did you have your hand raised, or what? Anybody help me with mercy? What does it mean if you grant somebody mercy? Let's say that somebody really messed up, right? I mean, this isn't a great example, but I'll give you an example. So I needed to get a new printer. I just got it last week, and the guy sent the wrong printer. And so I was frustrated at first. I went, oh my gosh, it says clearly on here, that it does duplex automatically. And when I got it, it didn't do it. And so I called him up, and he was like, oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. Even though it said it on the website, it doesn't really do it. So I could have gotten really mad. And I wasn't happy with it, but we talked for a while, and then he said, okay, if you can send it back, and then I'll send you the right one, but would you pay the postage or whatever? Because it's a small business owner. And I decided, well, that seemed fair. It was just an honest mistake. So that's kind of an example of granting somebody mercy. And I would want someone to do that for me. If I had screwed up, I want someone to be nice to me and help me out a little. How about you? Oh, Shoshana, you have your hand up. Can you unmute yourself? Oh, there we go. Here. Yeah.
I When you do that, you should be nice to
Mhm.
people no matter what way it is. And I
Yeah.
made the same mistake of that several times.
Yeah.
Even today.
Yeah. Maybe a more modern way of saying it is like, give him a break, right?
Yeah.
Grant him mercy. Give him a break. He's just human.
Like
Right.
don't grant him mercy. Just say, if you be nice to me, I'll be nice to you.
Yeah, it's like it's okay. We all make mistakes, and when someone else makes a mistake, treat them like.
I
Mhm. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
screwed up in the baddest way.
Yeah, we all do, right? We all do. Okay, excellent. And it just maybe treat somebody like you'd want them to treat you if you were to make a mistake. It's not easy to do. That's what it means to make peace. Sometimes I think people say, peace is going to come from the outside, but it has to come from us. That's what it means to sim shalom, to make peace, tova uvracha, to make good peace, a blessed peace, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, with kindness, with justice, and with mercy. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha, sim shalom. Aleinu, it's upon us. It's our duty to do this. So I think it's a really, really powerful prayer. We say it all the time. Sometimes I don't think we think about what it really means. So this week, between now and Yom Kippur, we all have lots of opportunities to sim shalom, to make peace, to use kindness and mercy in dealing with other people. The next slide, please. All right. So the final blowing of the shofar, we said there are going to be 4 times, right? The first time was wake up, listen and love. The second time was tshuva, how can I make myself and the world a better place? And the third time was tzedakah, how can I help others? How can I share and give? Now, the final blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashana. Today, let's promise to ourselves and to each other to try and do better. Let us promise to do tefillah. Remember, that's a reflexive verb, to pray. Let us promise to do teshuva, to try and make up for our mistakes, not only to ask people to forgive us, but when someone asks us to forgive them, that we do. It's not easy. And let us promise to do tzedakah, to share and to help others in need. And one of the best ways I think we can do tzedakah is by sim shalom, by making, by granting, by giving peace to others. And we do this when we are kind, when we're merciful, we give them a break, and we act with justice. That's also a very big word, that we act fairly, right? We treat other people fairly. We'll now listen to the final blast of the shofar on Rosh Hashana. It's called Tekiah Gedolah. What does that mean? What does Gadol mean? Anybody know Tekiah Gedolah? Gedolah means big, right? Big, or the great blast. So let's do it all together. Let's see who can blow the shofar the longest. I can't do it for very long, so hopefully maybe you'll be able to do it longer than me. Okay, here we go. The last one. Tekiah Gedolah. Whew. All right, I think that was it. So I live in a condo, and I'm wondering what my neighbor is thinking right now, but I may have to show him some, hopefully he'll show me some mercy, right? So excellent. So the next slide, please. So the long blast that we just did, it was long because we were to listen to the beautiful sounds and think about our own lives, the last year that just ended, and the start of the new year today. Remember, as you listened, tefillah, prayer, tshuva, to be proud of all the good things you did last year and to remember the times that you can do better this year, and tzedakah, to try your best this year to share, to help, to be kind, to protect the earth, and to remember that God is everywhere. Think of at least one way you can make the world a better place this year. And let's all say together, Tekiah Gedolah, Tekiah Gedolah. So remember that. I like this picture. I bet you he did a really good Tekiah Gedolah. He looks like he was really, really giving it everything. So the last slide, I believe it's the last slide, is just simply make or Happy New Year. So everybody, Shana Tova. Can you say, unmute yourselves and tell each other Shana Tova?
Shana Tova.
Shana
Tova.
Tova. Thank you so much. Hope you have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful, you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
A wonderful
Bye.
afternoon. Right. Here.
Rabbi, thank you. That was lovely.
Oh, thank you. I hope they enjoyed it.
I think so.
It's hard to, I wish there was a way you could interact better because it's hard to see.
I
who-
know.
Could you see, has there anybody had their hand raised or maybe
What?
in the group, it would have been a little easier, I think.
Yeah, but I think it was very nice.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks,
you.
you too.
We will
Thank
see
you.
you next week.
See you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Right.